If I'm honest with you, I think the need or the desire for me to create, it comes probably from at heart, a much younger version of myself. You just kind of build this burning kind of like feeling in your heart of wanting to talk about things that you feel aren't being said, or that elephant in the room isn't being considered. For me, it's always, whenever it comes to a project or a new work, it's really thinking about the things that aren't being said, or that should be said, that could be said, need to be. This process was a long time coming. I was approached by Fiona Parry, senior curator at Turner Contemporary, back in 2008. It's 4 years ago. Obviously, when we think about the pandemic, that extended the amount of time. In some ways, I'm actually kind of grateful for that, because I think that additional time allowed me to build a relationship with the likes of Fiona, the installation team, so many members of Turner Contemporary, even having the chance to build additional relationships with the likes of People Dem Collective, who are neighbours in Margate, to really have genuine conversations around ideas around, placement, migration, class, issues that really affect, the UK. But I think, like I said, at the heart of it is really just having the time to do that.
I've never tramped Britain. But lost it all the same. And wonder if I'm to blame, and ask what stopped me. And what stops me now from staking some small claim. But the fear that someone who looks like they know better might say no.
I think the thing that interests me about journeys is that they're an ongoing thing. If we think about, human existence, there's so many points that one can kind of like start from to tell a story. The significance with that is, with every story, there is that beginning. And even if a story is to continue, there's still an end at a certain point of a story, At the heart of the film Wayfinder, it is centered very much around a young black girl by the name of the Wanderer. Essentially, the Wanderer is on a journey across England. There are a range of characters that our Wayfinder comes across, in particularly at the beginning, a griot. And a griot, particularly known within Western African culture, and when I think about my own Ghanaian Akan heritage, a griot essentially is somebody who holds stories in relation to the times and tells those stories through a range of approaches, whether that's through song, through prose, literature, and various approaches to art.
Lord Thomas, he was a bold forester, and the keeper of our Lord's dear, fair Anna being a young woman, Lord Thomas he loved her so dear, Lord Thomas he loved her so dear. Come riddle me, mother, he said, come riddle it all to me, whether I should have fair Eleanor, or bring the brand girl home, or bring the brand girl home.
You're hearing a range of aspects of prose or even monologues that relate to journeying, that could be relating directly to the wonder. Again, I'm leaving this up to the viewer, but these sets of conversations, if you will, bring up ideas that relate to history, ideas that relate to traveling, ideas that relate to the experience of being othered or that of migrants, and even down to that of gentrification. As a kid, as a teenager, in fact, when I was around 16 or so, in my college years, the work of Turner was very important. You know, we were painting essentially mostly portraits and landscapes. And in terms of the landscape work, where it came to research, Turner was certainly up there. And, you know, I very, very quickly, in a way, I understood why. You know, there's a relationship, I'd say, with the landscape, with that of light and the perspective towards color and movement even, that I would say no other artist is able to capture in a way that Turner did. So when we come back to this point in time where, you know, I was invited to curate a range of works of Turner's, that was quite a special honor in some ways, to be able to go back into the past, to think about a point in the past that connects to me, but also I would say also still kind of has a strong relationship with what I do. We think about the films that I've made. The processes and the relationships with that of the landscape are such a big deal. We're thinking about things from that point of view. Additionally, also thinking about things from the point of view of, I guess, the relationship to, you know, class in some ways. You know, I come from a background of poverty, being lower working class. Turner, as it's known, was, you know, working class himself. We're both born in London. And there are different places that we've lived or studied in that are the same kind of place. You know, for example, Turner, within his trajectory of career, made, you know, paintings and sketches within Margate. Me, as a kid, I traveled to Margate. You know, I would travel with the Ghanaian churches that my mum and dad went to, and I witnessed baptisms. So, you know, I would look at the water, I would see the stretch of the horizon and so on. Turner also went to, you know, Purfleet, a place where I live as well. So, you know, I think there's loads of connections there, really. There's conversation around the uncomfortability of history, and who gets to actually talk about that. You know, I'd say to this point in time, you've had essentially historians who have kind of like gloated over a moment, saying, "Oh, you know, wasn't it great what he did?" And whilst, you know, I'm sure to debate that, unlike, you know, artists like Constable and so on, of course, Turner created something quite powerful. It doesn't go without being critiqued. And as a young, you know, black person, for me, seeing that horror, my question certainly relates itself to what it is that people with privilege are actually doing. Within one of the spaces for the solo show, we have dedicated almost entirely to, the Relic Traveller project, which has existed since 2017, so 5 years this year. It really started out with a set of ideas, thinking a lot on a local level about the Brexit vote, which took place, of course, in the UK in 2016, which I would argue really kind of affected the approach to nationalism that the rest of the West kind of like opened up from there. For me, as far as I'm concerned, a place that closes its borders isn't simply just closing the door to people, but it's closing the door to culture. And over time, should that continue, said place, it becomes a relic. You think about a game like Super Metroid or Castlevania, so many games anyway, your character starts with a lack of things or nothing, or they probably start strong and then some type of moment or event occurs and everything is stripped away from them. I think from the perspective of, a younger Larry growing up in the 80s or the 90s in East London, where prejudice, although which is still around today, is right in the face of oneself. Gaming allowed me to jump into a space of which I had perhaps maybe a bit more control of. In planning the gaming environment with Dee and Toby, the idea was really to think first of all about gaming and its importance to me as a kid growing up, its continued importance to me as a practitioner, its relationship toward the films that I've made over the years and continue to make, let alone the other types of artworks as well. And then also how we even link that to the likes of Turner, how we think about the landscape, how we think about these open spaces that, existed on a 2D plane to begin with, and now, we're exploring 3D, let alone beginning to go a bit deeper into virtual reality, VR. What I hope for is that with the 20 or so games that exist across a range of different TV displays, we've got LCD screens, standard definition the screen, so we're going old school to new school, is a place for people to hang out. We've got bean bags and chairs, which, are nice and comfortable for people to just really relax in. It's really to create a communal environment that people are able to create some of their own links, hopefully, toward a phenomena that has been so deeply important to my work. It's been so deeply important to my practice. In some ways, you could say in the early 2000s, in fact, it was actually frowned upon. It's quite interesting how now gaming is something that is quite accepted within the echelons of the art scene. I guess I'm trying to bring people into the understanding of my mindset, but I'm kind of leaving the keys to the car there for people to kind of drive away and have a good time for themselves.